Hello, welcome back. So today we are going to have the concept of project management process. In the earlier lecture, I try to have provided you some sort of basic knowledge on this project management process. Now today we are going to have a detailed discussion in this aspect. What is this project management process and how this project management process works? Now, if you remember, the first and the foremost stage in the project management process was problem identification and prima facie screening. Now, problem identification. If there is an investor or there is an entrepreneur who wish to make an investment in a project or who is willing to work on particular project, they are very keen in the identification of a problem. For a new entrepreneur, this stage or this level is the most critical level. For any new fresh entrepreneur, it is the most critical stage because he is not aware about the market. He is not having any idea about the various international and national provisioning, the policies that are being undertaken at different levels. So, any sort of person who is going to work in this project or who is going to undertake a new project or let it be working on an existing project in terms of different categories, the person need to have very conscious at this stage because 99% of the ideas fail at this stage. So that is why this is the most critical phase. The idea which passes through this phase is going to get implemented, is going to get worked out. So that's why this stage need to be very critically defined. The person need to focus on different industries. For example, if a company want to start a new product into a market, let's say the company want to start a new mobile into the market, so they need to understand the policies of that particular country, that particular region. They need to understand the prices related to that product. They need to understand the prices at national level as well as at international level. They need to understand the government setups that are there going to help them out or that are there going to make problems for them during the entire processes. So they need to make the SWOT analysis for the project. They need to find out the strengths, the weakness, the opportunity as well as the threats or we can say the challenges for a new venture or for a new project or an idea. They need to have a competitive analysis out of their idea. They need to understand how their existing product is going to make a competitive edge in the market. What is their best in their product which is going to compete in the market. These all things are very critical in understanding and exploring this problem identification and prima facie screening. As I has already told you that number of ideas fail at this stage. Now, after doing the problem identification and the prima facie screening, the next stage comes out to be the stage of project preparation. In this project preparation, a detailed project report is being developed. Now, there are various elements that are being incorporated in the detailed project report which include the owner's profile, the company background, various sort of feasibilities, financial plans, cash flows, the technology equipments, the market deliveries, all other processes that need to be incorporated for completing entire set of project that are being incorporated in the detailed project report, and this is one of the important critical element in the project identification. phase, because we have done project identification and prima facie. Now we are going to prepare the project, that how we are going to work out, and from where the finances are going to come out, what are the various technological things which we are going to require, what are the various demand that I need to, or that we need to understand for going out into the new market. These all things are the part of project preparation. After preparing this entire set of project, the individual or the entrepreneur or the investors are going to focus on the feasibilities. The first and the foremost feasibility is the technical feasibility. Now, what is there in the technical feasibility? Technical feasibility is the critical, again, one of the most critical feasibilities that an investor need to think out. For example, let's take an example that a company want to establish an banana chips company, and they want to establish the banana chips company in Rajasthan. Now usually we will be having that material, or the company is going to have that raw material, specifically the bananas from the South India. So is the company going to get the resources from South India and then going to start a business in extreme area of Rajasthan? So as it may not be technically proper for them, because there may be a reason that the product will not be in the proper quality when they are going to get it, or they may not be able to store that product for a longer duration. They may not be store the product for the in terms of a raw material for the longer duration. That may be one critical element that need to focus. Another important thing is that, for example, let's take in another thing, that if a company is establishing the similar plant in the extreme part of Rajasthan, and they are not having the feasibility, or they are not having the feasibility towards the market, they are not having the approach route towards the market is very far from the place where the industry is going to get developed. That is again going to create a trouble. Another thing is that they may be not having the appropriate resources where they are basically implementing this plant, where they are starting this plant. They may not be having the proper electricity supply. They may not be having a proper water supply. So these all critical elements need to be focused while deciding about the technical feasibility of a project. Now in this technical feasibility, there are some other elements that also need to be taken into consideration. For example, if we are setting up a plant, we need to see that what will be the facility layout of that plant, where and how we are going to equip our materials, where will be the raw material section, where will be the end product section, where will be the utilities section, where will be the canteen section, where will be the assembly section, where will be the main manufacturing plant. So all these things need to be taken into consideration while thinking about developing a new plant at any region. These all elements come into the category of an facility layout, or we can say technical feasibility. Now, why I am saying this? Because, for example, there is a organization which is producing nuts and bolts. Let it be nuts. They may be having a requirement of A, B and C machinery to accomplish that task. If I place machinery A and then machinery B far from A, and then machinery C again far from A, so there may be a delay in completion of project. So scheduling of these equipments at different places is also the part of technical feasibility. The organization may be requiring the new technology, the new CNC type of machines which are there for producing the equipments or the materials. So the new sort of softwares are also part of this technical feasibility. these all things are being required or being checked out into the technical feasibility. We people have faced in COVID duration. So if we were not, as the entire world was not prepared for this, but during that phase, the companies have tried to establish different softwares. They have tried to make connection with one another with help of certain applications, and we were using in our college times or in our universities or in other places the usage of some Microsoft Team, Google Team, WebEx, other materials, other applications which were there to get us linked with one another so that our task doesn't stop. So this again comes into the part of technical feasibility. Now companies are continuously approaching that what are the things which we need to use in terms of technical feasibility while starting a new venture. All such things need to be dealt with very minor. All such things need to be incorporated at an appropriate manner. Otherwise, there may be a failure of complete implementation of a project. In technical feasibility, again, we may be having some sort of a machinery which we require to import from other countries. So these all things also need to be incorporated in technical feasibility. So technical feasibility becomes a critical element while defining a project, while going to a project. So all these things, whether in terms of, I told you, in terms of an capacity planning, whether in terms of an facility layout, whether in terms of an utility section, whether in terms of an plant implementation, whether in terms of an power, whether in terms of an raw material, whether in terms of an end term product section, all these things are being required in terms of a technical feasibility, and the company or the investor or the entrepreneur need to focus on all these aspects while going for a technical feasibility aspect. So this is one of the preliminary case while going to the project process development. So we try to discuss about the product identification, the product prima facie screening, then the project preparation, and then the project technical feasibility. Now the second feasibility which we need to focus in terms of an project process is the market feasibility. In terms of market feasibility, this will be again an important element of the feasibility. In this feasibility, the company or the investor or the entrepreneur need to understand that whether there is really the demand for the product or not. Whatever the product the person had tried to explore in the project identification phase, is that product going to get acceptable in the market or not? Is there a long lasting demand for that product or not? So the investor need to think in a very majorly, the investor need to think into a appropriate manner. They have to check whether there is a demand regarding that project, and if there is a demand, whether we will be having appropriate supply for that project or not, or supply for that product or not. What will be the forecasting for my product? Am I going to get the product to the people on right time or not? Will the product be of right quality or not? So these all things are being explored in the market feasibility. In market feasibility, the investor, or we can say the entrepreneur, try to explore that whether I have made a proper SWOT analysis or not. What are the various opportunities that are available in the market or not? So if these opportunities are not being taken into consideration, so I may be a failure. There are different plans that an investor need to develop at this stage. They have to make a market plan, they have to make an competitive analysis at this stage, they have to identify the target market. They may be using that STP formula, that is segmenting, targeting and positioning. Which sort of market they are going to positioning? Have they made it proper? Have they made it properly segmented or not? Whether which demography they are going to occur, whether they are going to, if for example they are going to have development of an pens, whether that pen is suitable for the kids, whether that pen is suitable for the college going student, or whether that pen is suitable for the professional persons who are working in different industries. So they need to identify and explore the target market also, and what are the various resources they need to use while delivering this project. In market feasibility, they also need to check that what are the various marketing lines that they are going to incorporate, because marketing feasibility becomes very critical. If we have not defined the market feasibility also include the advertisement part, the market feasibility also include the sales part, the market feasibility also include the communication part, because if we need to define a marketing, it is creating, communicating and delivering value to the customer. So if we have not created, if we have not communicated, if we have not delivered the value, value is simply cost and benefit analysis. So if my benefit is more, I am saying that it is valuable product. If my cost is more, I am saying this is not a valuable product. So the marketing aspect, the marketing feasibility becomes very critical for them. They need to also identify and explore that what are the various communication mediums that the company is going to adopt while communicating the product or a service to the consumers. They need to explore that whether they should be having business intervention or they should be having consumer intervention. So if the company is oriented towards business as well as the consumer, what sort of policy market plans they are going to adopt? Is there any sort of a digital marketing media that they are going to adopt for advertising their product or for communicating their product to the consumer? So these feasibilities are being incorporated, or these feasibilities are being checked by an entrepreneur in this stage. This becomes a very critical element. They also need to simultaneously check whether they have a proper marketing channel or not. Which sort of marketing channel they are going to use? Are they going to make direct in link with the consumer, or they are going to adopt some sort of a digital channel, or they are going to adopt some sort of a physical channel, or they are going to adopt some distributors, or they are going to have some wholesalers? What sort of marketing channels that they are going to adopt? This also need to take into consideration by an investor in this complete set of feasibility. Now, while understanding this feasibility, the investor also try to make an forecasting. Now, this forecasting can be done. Forecasting is nothing but the projection for the product in future. Now, this forecasting can be done in terms of in qualitative terms or in terms of in quantitative terms. While dealing with the qualitative terms, this qualitative term can be in terms of a jury method, expert opinion method, a Delphi method. These are some qualitative techniques that are being adopted. For example, expert opinion. There are some expert people. An investor try to get an opinion from these expert people who are there in the market, that whether I should invest in this product or not. You may have also seen, for example, there are people who are going to invest in the stock market. They are mostly using the qualitative technology for forecasting. They are trying to understand the different expert opinions and try to explore that these experts are saying to investors in these costs and hold out these costs or sell these stocks. So we take an opinion from these people. In the similar manner, the investors also take opinion from these experts. They take opinion from the seniors. They take opinion from the leaders in the market. They may be forming some sort of a panel and discussing that whether we should go for this project or not, or whether we should develop this product or service or not. So this method is basically the qualitative method. Another method which we use in the demand forecasting is quantitative method. So in quantitative method, we are going to adopt different types of technique. The techniques like as time series forecasting technique, regression technique, trend analysis technique, ARIMA model. These are some of the models. These are some of the techniques which usually the company or the experts that the company has hired are using to explore the forecasting for the product that an investor is going to make. So these sort of activities are being done in the market feasibility. So after technical feasibility, we try to understand the market feasibility portion. After this market feasibility portion, let's come to the most critical and the most important feasibility portion, that is known as financial feasibility. Now, what is this financial feasibility? Now, in this financial feasibility, the investor try to understand that whether I am having adequate amount of funds to run the project or not, to go for the project or not. If I am not having adequate amount of sources or the funds for running the project, where from I will get these funds? What are the various sources with which I can get the funds? Do I need to focus on certain interventions to get these funds? So, from where I can get these funds, that is another important aspect that an investor explore in this feasibility. Now, to get the funds, whether what sort of capital structure should be there in my organization, or what sort of capital structure should be there in the project in which I am going to invest, or we are going to proceed. So, the capital structure is nothing but the mix of debt and equity. Debt is the source of fund that an organization is getting from outside, and equity usually is insider. Equity sometimes is also an outside when we take it in terms of in shares, or we take it in terms of some capital investment by different owners. But debt usually is in terms of a loan that we take from some financial institution. So, the company decides that where from I should get the resource, and what should be the structure of this debt and equity. Should I get entire debt? Should I get the funds completely from debt source, or should I get the funds completely from equity source? Where from I can get these funds? If I have to go for a financial institution, what is the process for going to the financial institution? How I can get the funds from financial institution? Whether this financial institution is working at the national level, whether this financial institution is at local level, whether the investor is going to take funds from some bank, whether the investor is going to take funds from some cooperatives, whether the investor is going to take funds from an higher order financial institutions, or whether an investor is going to make fund from the equity. So, whether he is contributing himself, or he is going to get the funds in terms of an shares which they are issuing. These are all entire set of things that a particular investor or individual think about while going for a financial feasibility. They try to understand that what is the exact cost of the project, and how I am going to get the fund for this project. Now, if somebody is going to make investment in this project, what will be the return on investment in that project? So, these all things are being sought out, or these all things are being discussed in this financial feasibility. In addition to this, the financial feasibility document, the investor try to make the balance sheet, dummy balance sheet statements, or the projected balance sheet statements, the projected cash flow statements, which he or she may be requiring while going for some sort of an debt fund, or while going for some sort of a loan from the financial institution. They require these statements. They require some, what is your cash flow statement, what is your break-even analysis, break-even point, what is your projected balance sheet statement, what is your projected profit and loss statement. So, these all entire set of documents are going to be get prepared in this stage by the investor. So, in addition to this, the investor also try to make the ratio analysis, that what will be the benefit analysis out of it, what will be the debt to equity ratio, what will be the profit earning ratio, what will be the asset liability ratio. So, these all ratios are also being calculated by an investor in this segment, in the segment of a financial feasibility. In addition to this, the financial feasibility also include two important aspects. One is the capital budgeting, another is working capital. Now, what is this capital budgeting? Capital budgeting usually focuses on the long term finances, and it let us know that if somebody is going to make investment, what is the benefit that person is going to get out of that investment. And in working capital, it let us know that what are the various day-to-day cost or expenses that an individual is going to bear during the entire project. So in capital budgeting, this may be this is sometimes categorized into two aspects. The capital budgeting technique is sometimes categorized into two different aspects. These aspects are discounting and non-discounting rates. So there are various ratios or rates that are being associated. Some of the ratios like payback period is there, net present value is there, average rate of return is there, internal rate of return is there, profitability index is there. These are different ratios which are going to get incorporated in the capital budgeting technique in order to understand that whether the investor is going to make investment in the project or not. If an investor is going to make an investment in a project, at what duration, after what time the investor is going to get back its money. So one of the simple ways is payback period. So X amount divided by the number of years, so we calculate divided by the number of outflows which we are generating in different years. For example, if somebody is invested 5 lakh, in first year the person can be getting 2 lakh, in the second year the person can be getting 2 lakh, in the third year the person can be getting 1 lakh. So we can simply divide, we can simply say that the entire 5 lakh is going to come after 3 years. This is the simple calculation of payback period. So payback period let us know that when a particular amount of money that is being invested by an investor, when he is going to get back that amount. That is the payback period. In similar way, other things are also being calculated like IRR, it is internal rate of return. At what return the outcome will come, my investment is going to get back to me. So what is the benefit of going to get what is the benefit of making an investment in a project? So they are going to calculate it in with help of an internal rate of return or average rate of return. Then NPV is usually the net present value. If, for example, you may have taken you may take an example of a person who is going to make fixed deposit in a bank. So he is thinking that if I am going to get return of an 8% and let me invest 1 lakh rupee, after 1 year I will be getting this amount of money. So that is the concept of NPV, net present value. So it is worth buying 100 rupees today rather than buying 100 rupees tomorrow. That is the basic concept of NPV. So NPV let us know that it is it is benefited that let's invest 100 rupees today. If we are going to invest the 100 rupees tomorrow, we will be not getting that return of that 100 rupees. So it may be that the 100 rupees today is having a value of 95 rupees after 1 year. So the time value of money is going to take into consideration in this capital budgeting and this NPV. So that is the another aspect while developing this financial feasibility is taken into consideration. Another important measure is working capital, which we also need to measure. Working capital is day-to-day expenses. So that is also the thing which an investor, while making the decision regarding its capital structure of debt and equity, they need to take into consideration that how I could meet the day-to-day expenses and what sort of expenses are there which they need to incorporate in working capital, and what is the cost that is being incorporated for these activities. So all such activities, whether in terms of I told you in terms of a capital structure, whether to make a ratio analysis out of it, whether to identify the debt portion, whether to explore what is the equity portion, what is the mix of debt and equity, would it be 60% and 40%, so what is the appropriate debt equity mixture, now what will be the capital budgeting structure, whether the investor is going to make investment out of it or not, what will be the working capital for completion of a project. These all entire things become a part of an financial feasibility aspect. So I try to deliver the concept about the project process, and in this project process we try to understand the project identification, prima facie screening, project preparation, then the detailed project report, then we try to understand the technical feasibility, market feasibility, financial feasibility. After doing all these feasibility, the another aspect is social cost benefit analysis. If somebody is going to make an investment, you may have seen there are different multiple highways which are being constructed in our country. So what is the benefit the society is getting out of it? Are we making more social cost into this and the benefit is less? So this sort of analysis is going to be done in social cost benefit analysis. So you may be seeing that by developing a certain sort of an highway, the villages, different villages are getting benefited out of it. This is the social benefit, this is the financial benefit, this is the economic benefit, this is the development which the entire set of villages which are there in the way of the highway are getting benefited out of it. So if we are incorporating some sort of a cost, but the benefit has also been associated with that cost, so such analysis is also being done while making the social cost benefit. Another parameter which is important in the project management is risk management. So in order to define this, first of all, the investor need to identify the risk. They need to explore the reasons behind the risk. Now, what are the various ways with which the risk can be mitigated, and adopt that way and then try to solve that way. So identification of the risk, then prioritizing that risk, then getting out some sort of solution, different solutions, adopting the best solution out of it, and finally solving that problem is the process of risk management that an investor is going to make in this project management process. After doing all sort of activities, the important activity which I told you earlier also is project implementation now. Now project implementation and execution phase becomes the critical part now. Before all these, if we have to make certain changes, if we want to reject the project, we can reject. If we do not want to start a project, we may stop. But after doing all these things, and if we are coming into the project implementation phase, we cannot stop now. At this, we are executing the project and we are involving different people in this project. We are incorporating all sort of resources to complete this project. We are involving various project leaders in this project. We are executing the entire set of activities that we have thought while delivering this project. It may be related to the marketing aspect, it may be related to the technical aspect, or it may be related to the financial aspect. We, or as a project manager, the project manager is going to be a responsible person who is going to make presentation, or who is going to make time by time the executions and time by time the reporting of these project activities to the key stakeholders. Now during this entire phase, few things are needed to be taken into consideration. The implementation is only possible when we have proper monitoring and controlling mechanism. So during this stage, the project manager developed the work breakdown structure. The project manager developed the Gantt chart. The project manager developed a network diagram where different flows. Now I have already told you about the work breakdown structure and the Gantt chart. Work breakdown structure is distributing the task into different activities, and Gantt chart is when we are associating the timelines regarding to this. And finally the network diagram. The network diagram let us know that what are the various ways to complete a project. So there are two important categories which we use in the network diagram. One is known as PERT, another is known as CPM. PERT is known as Project Evaluation Review Technique, CPM is Critical Path Method. So time based and cost based activities are these. So we try to explore that how much time we are going to get in used for completing the project, and what are the various costs and how much cost we are going to incorporate for completing a particular project, and what are the ways how we can mitigate if there is any risk or if there is any controlling measure we need to adopt, how we can adopt this controlling measure. That is the portion which we do in the implementation and execution phase. After doing entire set of this execution and the implementation phase, finally is the phase of at this stage we will get to know that this the performance of the project, the quality of the project was appropriate or not. Have we achieved the scope of the project or not? Were there any variances, and if there were variances, how much over cost is there? How much over time we have taken? Are we able to accomplish the task with a given set of timelines or not? These all things are being measured in this termination phase. Now, there may be some cases that some projects are terminated earlier also. This may be the reason that funding is not there, the project is not feasible at all, that activities are there, or there may be death of some certain persons in that project, or there may be n number of natural calamities that can happen and hinder that project, or we may not be having the scope of that project, or we may, the investor or the project manager or the project executor is not having enough resources to complete that project. So, these could be certain sort of project that can be terminated at earlier phases also. But at this termination, at the closure phase, the entire set of documents are being prepared, the complete auditing is being done, the complete reports are being submitted to the key stakeholders, so that they become aware whether we have done it successfully or not. That is all about the project management process. Thank you.